Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 299. Prince Andrew is suffering another slap to the chops. And has anybody ever deserved it more? This guy has bumbled his way through society, grifting off of the English people for far too long. And now that his antics are beginning to be exposed, even his own family is hitting the eject button on their relationship with this toxic lion MF. Prince Andrew is basically being erased from his father's 100-year birthday celebration. Oh, there's going to be plenty of fanfare. They're going to do a montage with pictures and the whole flip. But the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family is going to be missing. No prominent role for him. No publicity. No fawning audience and crowd. None of it. Just more toxic cloud hanging above his head. And he has earned every minute of it, folks, right? He could end all of this right now if he is as innocent as he says, and as innocent as his 3 defenders on Twitter say. Come forward, speak to the authorities, not a written statement. Sit down, speak to the authorities, tell them what you know, and really put a line underneath it. Isn't that what you said you wanted to do in the interview? But yet here we are, still ducking and dodging and evading the authorities, saying that, I've offered to cooperate, when you damn well know they haven't asked for a written statement. They want to sit down with you in person, and they want you to give a deposition, and you refuse to do it. Just come out and say that, okay? Because all we have to go on so far here, old Princey boy, is the fact that everything you've said about this case from the very beginning is pretty much a lie. Why not just come out and admit that you know Virginia? If there was no nonsense that occurred, if you weren't involved in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring, if you didn't partake, why would you even deny knowing Virginia? We have the picture. It's indisputable. Nobody can dispute the fact that you were at Ghislaine Maxwell's pad with this dude, with Jeffrey Epstein, with Virginia, and you took a picture. And this dude has the audacity to act like he was never there, like he never took that picture. Oh, it couldn't be me. The fingers are fat, etc., etc. And then he wonders why people think he's lying. Look, his own family obviously don't believe him. If they believe that he was innocent, don't you think they would be pressing the issue? Don't you think that they'd be out in the public using their incredible power and pull to try and clear his name? But instead, they're distancing themselves from it. They don't want anything to do with it. And I think that is a big tell. I think when you see the royal family distance themselves this way, the guy wasn't even in his own kids' wedding pictures. So the heat is real for this dude. And he has nobody to blame but himself, okay? If he would come forward and speak to the authorities, he could clear his name if he has the evidence that says he wasn't involved in any of this. But yet we have not seen any of that from him. We have seen BS, we have seen lies, we have seen straight up garbage, untruths, and now he's hunkered down with his high-priced legal team, and you're not going to hear shit from him. So here we are. It's going to take a subpoena to get this guy, the most honorable man in the whole entire history of the Kingdom of England, to speak with the authorities about a child sex trafficking ring. Let that sink in for a minute. Our article today is from the Daily Mail. The headline, Prince Andrew is airbrushed out of Prince Philip's 100th birthday celebrations. Scandal hit royal won't be invited to major events and won't feature in the photo exhibition. By Isabella Nikolic. Well, he might not feature in the photo exhibition, but if there's any justice in the world and he is guilty of the crimes that he is being accused of, well, perhaps we'll get a mugshot of him instead. Prince Andrew is set to be carefully edited out of Prince Philip's 100th birthday celebrations. Again, not very much confidence from your pops, huh? Your pops is the Prince of England, married to the Queen, has a lot of power, wields a ton of it, influence, power, you name it, and yet nobody is coming to your defense. No one is backing him publicly. No one is standing by his side. It makes you wonder why, doesn't it? What do you think? All the rumors about Andrew that we've heard throughout the years, everything's a lie? It's one big, vast conspiracy to take down the high and mighty Prince Andrew? No, nobody really gives a shit enough about him for that, okay? Every problem he has is self-inflicted. Imagine being born in purple the way he was, being born in royalty, and squandering your great gifts, your great winning of the genetic lottery the way he has. He is reportedly not being invited to major events for his birthday next June, and the organizers of a celebratory royal photo exhibition have allegedly been told to exclude pictures of him. The shamed Duke of York, one of Prince Philip's 4 children, will also not be allowed to write an introduction to the exhibition program, according to a source. And now, to me as an American, I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? An exhibition program, an introduction? You know, it's your dad's birthday in America. You give him a cheers, you move on, you buy him a present, 100 years, pops, this is a big one. Here's insert whatever your dad likes here, and you keep it moving. But when you're royalty, I guess you have to do like an introduction to the exhibition program and, you know, all kinds of crazy shit. So, all right, well played, royalty. Well played. But Andrew, the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, you're not invited, pal. He has been somewhat shunned by the royal family after coming under fire for his links to disgraced pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who was arrested for her role in allegedly procuring young girls for the pedophile, aka financier. So he has been shunned, right, by the royals, not completely. We've heard recently that the ringing of the bells is still going to occur, at least as of now. But I wonder if with this information coming out, this story of him not being involved in the honorifics of his father's 100th birthday, that maybe the bells won't be chiming in his honor either. Now, again, who knows? They came out and said that the bells are ringing for him, but we have a little ways to go before February, and obviously this case and this situation is very fluid. The Duke, 60, is currently being called to help the FBI with their investigation of Ghislaine Maxwell. His 6-month standoff with the FBI deepened after Maxwell was detained for allegedly helping to lure underage girls who were then sexually abused by Epstein. And remember, he has been very, very dishonest about his relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell from the jump. I mean, we know that they were close enough that Ghislaine Maxwell had access to Buckingham Palace, according to reports, to come and go as she pleased through the guards' post. We know that they had a picnic within a stone's throw of the Queen's window. So it's not like Ghislaine Maxwell and Andrew were just, associates who happened to rub elbows at a dinner, like some of these folks who have been tied to Epstein were. This was a lot more, obviously. And the fact that Andrew has lied at every turn about how deep his ties were to Maxwell and Epstein has to set off alarm bells for anybody who is truly paying attention to what is going on here. Her arrest in Bradford, New Hampshire, intensified calls for Andrew to be quizzed about any involvement he may have had, despite him denying wrongdoing. And of course, why wouldn't it? his ties with them are so close and so tight that it is inevitable that when you hear of this happening, her getting arrested, and the fact that she's being charged with what she's being charged with, you would think that the next question on your mind is, well, what about Prince Andrew? He has also denied claims by Virginia Roberts, Epstein's survivor, that he slept with her on several occasions. And again, we can go through those all over again, but the fact is, this man has not been honest about any of this stuff. And to think that the narrative that he has pitched for so long and that the media has even played into for all of these years until the second arrest, basically, it's just mind-blowing to me that he's been allowed to get away with this narrative with this skimpy-ass defense of, I was at the pizza shop, that's not me in the picture, fingers are too fat, and that's not the kid I wear when I'm hanging out in England. Those are the excuses that we're going to accept from the Prince of England? On what planet is that okay? What sort of reality have we warped into where that is acceptable? Because this guy, good old Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, he has a lot of questions that need to be answered. A source told The Sun there is a warning from up high to play down Andrew. He will be included as little as possible. Of course, again, they're trying to avoid the fallout. They don't have any confidence in his story either. They don't believe that he is telling the truth, it would seem. If they thought so, you would think they'd circle the wagons, right? That they would be out there, they would say to him, they would compel him to speak to the FBI. But if Emily Maitlis could rattle him like that, if Emily Maitlis could pick those low-hanging fruit from the tree, what do you think a seasoned interrogator would do to this bumbling moron? And the Queen knows it, his father knows it, and the royal advisors know it as well. That is why we are not seeing them come out in support of him and compelling him to speak to authorities. It's not whitewashing history because you can't leave him out entirely, but it will not make a big deal of his relationship with the Duke of Edinburgh over the years. And of course they've had a pretty tight relationship, right? Father and son. The Prince of England and his dad, I'm sure they got along fine. I'm not a monarchist or anything like that, but I've never read anything over the years of them having a falling out or anything like that. So I'm sure he was in good standing with his pops. I'm sure they've shared some good memories over the years, and I'm sure his pops would love to include his son in this 100-year celebration. But he can't because his son participated in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Isn't that nice? Imagine. The photography exhibition, run by the Royal Collection Trust, will display pictures of the royals throughout the years. Prince Philip, who married the Queen in November 1947, will celebrate his 100th birthday on June 1st next year. So it's going to be like a montage of a bunch of pictures of the royals throughout the years. Kind of like, basically if you were having a family function for your grandpops and he was turning a big number, say 100, and you guys had a bunch of pictures throughout the years of all the kids with them, the grandkids, the great-grandkids, all of that stuff. You put together a montage to music or whatever. That's basically what's going on here, but obviously to a much larger and grandiose degree. But Andrew, yeah, he's going to be left out. He's going to be the black sheep of the family and not in these pictures or the montage or any sort of honorifics because the fallout is so great. And at the end of the day, what you have to read into this is that the royal family does not have confidence in Andrew's story. Andrew was already cut off from the official photographs of the wedding of his own daughter, Princess Beatrice, 31, earlier this year when she tied the knot with Edo Mapelli Mosey, 37. And why, again, it sucks for his daughters, right? I've never really tried to, drag them into this conversation at all. I don't, they're his kids, but they're not guilty of his sins. And I think it sucks for his daughters, but do you blame her husband? Her husband was probably like, yeah, look, Pops can't be in these pictures. You know what I'm saying? It's probably not a good look to have your dad in these pictures right now. And again, it's nobody's fault but his own. And his 60th birthday party was canceled in February after he stepped down from his royal duties following a car crash, Hindenburg, you mean, Newsnight interview last November, which followed claims from Virginia Roberts that she slept with him in 2001 after being trafficked to London at the age of 17. Andrew claimed it couldn't have happened because he was at a Pizza Express in Woking on the night in question. And again, where are all the witnesses to come forward and corroborate your story that you were at the pizza joint? I'm sure it would be a pretty big deal, right? The Prince of England at the England's version of Chuck E. Cheese or whatever the hell Pizza Express is. You know, what were you doing? Playing some skee ball? Over there playing a few rounds of Street Fighter? The fisherman game? What were you doing there? Who saw you? Where is your evidence? From the very beginning, that's all I've called for here. Let's get a real accounting of what occurred. Let's get a trial. Let's let a jury sort it out. Epstein was found dead in jail last year after being arrested by the FBI. The Royal Collection Trust said plans are not yet confirmed. Yeah, of course, they'll give themselves some wiggle room, right? They don't want to confirm anything right now and create more drama, more hubbub. So they'll play it close to the vest till the time gets closer. They'll see where it's at. And if they think they can roll the dice and get away with it, well, they'd love to have their disgusting-ass relative back in the fold, right? Because again, it's not about what occurred here. It's about the fact that he was caught or is alleged to be involved. That's what they're worried about. They haven't once come out and talked about the survivors, right? Or the people who were caught up in Jeffrey Epstein's madness. It's all about denials and distancing themselves. And it's pretty gross, honestly. Next year, the royal family will have several milestones to celebrate, including the Queen's 95th birthday, her Platinum Jubilee marking 70 years of reign, and Prince Philip's 100th birthday. So far, Andrew has allegedly refused to be interviewed by prosecutors in the U.S., but denies any wrongdoing. Yeah, because his actions are those of an innocent man. That's the way innocent men conduct themselves, folks. How dare you think any different? Just ask all 3 of his vile supporters on Twitter that run around carrying the torch for Andrew, holding the banner for their prince. What an absolute joke. What sort of mental deficiency are you working with if you're defending this dude at this point? I honestly don't know where the gray area is here. If there is gray area here, please provide me with the documentation that shows me that this guy is telling the truth. Because as of now, we have seen none of that. All we have seen is Virginia and her accusations of what occurred with Prince Andrew being proved right every time we turned around. Every time we turn around, we get a little bit more, right? Another tidbit, another person comes forward. And yet, none of that has occurred for Andrew. Not one person from the pizza shop, not a taxi stand guy, not a newspaper dude, not a street sweeper. Not one person has come forward and corroborated his story. In fact, when the files were asked for of where he was that night, of course those files don't exist either. So the onus, most assuredly, is on the Prince of Nothing to come forward and do the honorable thing. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. You can also find those 3 Prince Andrew supporters there if you look hard enough. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. I'll be back tomorrow and we will pick it back up. All right, everybody, have a great night.